welcome everyone to the 2025 State of the City program for Lakeville, Minnesota. My name is Matt Skopp. I'm an attorney with Doherty Melinda, and I'm this year's chair of the Chamber Board of Directors, and honored to serve in that capacity. I want to start off by thanking Briano's Chart House for hosting us today. Our firm has spent some money, I think, in this room having holiday parties, so I wanted to just give them an opportunity, specifically George Maverick. He wanted to come up and say a few words. George.
Thank you, Matt. Well, thank you everyone for coming here. My name is George Maverick. I'm the 5th or 6th owner of the Chart House. It started in '63, so some of you may have learned how to swim in the swimming pool that's no longer here. There you go. Back when it was a private club and whatnot. But anyway, first of all, I wanted to say, Mr. Mayor, every time I've been to City Hall, your staff has been amazing and very responsive and competent, so whatever you're doing, amazing, thank you. Also, the Chamber has been very supportive. I want to plug this idea. I was talking to the Chamber. I know this is kind of a sad story, but when the first responders in Burnsville died, everybody came out and said thank you and supported them. But then it hit me that we only say thank you when disaster strikes. It's like, why don't you do it when they're still here among us, serving us? So maybe there's a way for us to take turns and say thank you, like all the restaurants or all the food people. So if you have any ideas, maybe a technology idea, maybe it's a website or a spreadsheet, maybe we can all take turns and send 12 meals to the fire, the police every week. So maybe reach out to the Chamber. They're very supportive and helpful. So I'm one of them. So maybe if there's more people who are interested, let us know. And then just a shameless plug-in for the Chart House. We've been here since '63, so thank you for being here today. We do a lot of live music 6 days a week, except for Tuesdays when it's bingo, which is very important. But it does support Lakeville hockey, so that matters. And then for Sunday brunch, I want to tell you that in spite of the news out there, we have Eggs Benedict, deviled eggs, scrambled eggs, and omelet. So hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, George. So the annual State of the City program is an important part of the Chamber's work in advocacy and access. This is your opportunity to meet, hear from, and ask questions directly to the people who are leading and guiding our city. If you'd like information, if you like the information you hear today, I'd like you to give a little plug for attending the Chamber's monthly Access and Issues. This is held on the second Friday of each month at 8 a.m. by Zoom, and includes a topic pertinent to our business community as well as around the horn updates from our local elected officials. Our April meeting is Friday, so this Friday, so if you have nothing going on at 8 a.m. this Friday, Krista can get you a login. We're going to be hearing from one of our partners, Zartico. Some of you know who Zartico is. It's a company that provides data and analysis about who comes to Lakeville and where they came from. So they track the person's zip code associated with the credit card, and then when that credit card is swiped in the city of Lakeville, we get data and information about where to advertise to those people and how to get those people back into the community. So it's a really interesting presentation that they do. I've heard it before, and they have some maps that they show and some data that they analyze. So if you're interested in that, Friday at 8 a.m. So we're excited to welcome and hear from both Mayor Luke Hellier and Community Development Director Tina Goodrow today. And I also want to just recognize a few dignitaries in the room before we get started. You may stand or you can just wave as I call your name. So we have City Council members John Bermel, Joshua Lee, Michelle Volk, and Dan Wolter. All right, we also have City Administrator Justin Miller right up here in front. Police Chief Brad Paulson, Fire Chief Mike Meyer, Economic Development Manager Carrie Bachmeyer, is it, what's it?
Katie.
Oh, sorry, Katie Bachmeyer. Lakeville Arenas Manager, Joe Berquist, somewhere. And then from the Lakeville Area Schools, Lakeville Area School Board Education members, Matt Swanson, saw Matt over there, hey Matt. Brian Thompson, also over there. Lakeville Area School Superintendent, Michael Bauman. Michael. Lakeville North Principal, Kim Moody. Kim, hi Kim. Director of Community Education, Steve Porter. Communications Director, Grace Olson. Director of Secondary Teaching and Learning, Elida Kane. Over there. And so I also wanted to welcome our elected officials. We have 3, Mary Liz Holberg, County Commissioner. All right, and Met Council Representative Wendy Wolf, and also Bill Drosty snuck in, he's right there. No, Bill well. We also have members of our chamber leadership here today. If you sit on a chamber board of directors, visit Lakeville Advisory Board, Chamber Foundation Board of Directors, or serve as a chamber ambassador, could you please stand to be recognized? Thank you all for your service. Some time and effort, and we appreciate it. As you know, our sponsors too are essential to our ability to put these events on throughout the year. So I've asked that our State of the City presenting sponsors join me up here, and I think Krista's gonna take one of their spots, but ProTech Automotive and Stonebrook Wealth Management and Exit Planning. Bob Bayer, can you join me on the stage?
You want to go first or want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Ladies
Okay,
first,
I know.
absolutely, always.
I know. Rick is being modest. He doesn't want to come up here, and I said I would not let it go by without recognizing ProTech. So, for those that don't know ProTech, and I'm guessing it's very few of you in here who don't know ProTech, they have been so involved in our Lakeville community for so many years. They've been involved in the chamber for well over 20 years. You'll hear us talk about our youth skills training program. They've been a partner in that program, hiring high school students as mentors. They're mentors to high school students for years. They support our foundation through our Sons for Scholars event. They support the Lakeville Public Safety Foundation. They're a visionary donor of the chamber. The list goes on and on of what these guys support. They are so involved in not only our city, but the other cities in which their other shops are located in. They've been honored. They were honored as an Education Business Partner of the Year in the last couple of years. They were honored as the Dakota Scott Workforce Board Excellent and Youth Employment winner. And again, they just continue to give back of their time and their talent to our community to really help us in so many different ways, whether it's supporting our youth, supporting our public safety. And so we are so thankful. And not to mention, you're pretty good at what you do too, fixing cars and some of that too, right? So we're just so thankful to have you in our community, and thank you for sponsoring this event. So ProTech Automotive, thanks guys. Mr. Bayer, I'm gonna let you take it from here.
Okay. Thank you, Krista. Bob Bayer, Stonebrook Wealth Management and Exit Planning. That's a little bit of a twist compared to years past, because over the last year and a half, we've been working very diligently at not only having conversations with many of the business owners in Lakeville, but around the metro area. And there's a large need for business owners to have some form of, if you want to couch it, you could say succession planning, but the reality is exit planning. And at some point in time, every business owner here will exit their business. What we want to do is make sure it's done on your terms, and it's not a fire sale. So the additional component that we've added to our business is working with business owners one-on-one to raise valuations, to improve structures and processes, culture, employee tenure, benefits, to make that business attractive, very attractive for a potential buyer. Unlocking 80% of a typical owner's net worth out of the ground and in their business and into their hands so they can start the third chapter, the next chapter, and hopefully the best chapter of their life. So it's with great pleasure that we're excited to announce that part of the component, and we're here to serve. So I wouldn't, before I leave, I would be remiss if I didn't really introduce the glue to the business, Heather Brown, who's been with us for 15 years now. She's put up with me that long. So this is not a one-man show. We've got an excellent team to do tax planning, high net worth planning, the financial planning and the wealth management, of course, too. So we're just excited to be here to sponsor again, and we're just so fortunate to be a member of a chamber that is absolutely this dynamic. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brian. I also want to recognize our supporting sponsors, and if they could also come up and join me on the stage when their names are called. And we're doing this all at once.
No, they can just stand.
Oh, they can stand. Lakeview Bank,
Oh, Mike, you can just stand.
McDonald Eye Care Associates, Cornerstone Copy Lakeville, Franson Bank and Trust, and Newmarket Bank. All right. We'd like to begin the State of the City program today with Community Development Director Tina Goodroad. Tina has been with the City of Lakeville since the summer of 2022 and brought with her years of experience with city development and planning. Tina oversees our economic development, building inspections, and planning departments and continues to help position Lakeville as a desired destination for development and growth. She is also a Sensible Land Use Coalition board member and was a featured speaker during several Minnesota Real Estate Journal Summits in 2024. Please help me to welcome Tina Goodroad.
Thank you, everyone. Get situated here. Well, good afternoon. What a great looking crowd, a wonderful, beautiful venue. Super excited to be here today. This is really one of my favorite events of the year, to really be able to share all the wonderful things going on in the city. And I'm really pleased to share some spotlights that happened over the past year regarding economic development. Before I begin, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Katie Bachmeyer. She's back there. She is our economic development manager. Her and I work very closely together on so many of these efforts, and she was pivotal in getting this presentation and this day organized. I do want to note that there are screens on both sides, right and left of the stage. You might have to tweak your head a little bit to see them, but the presentation will be located there. So just to get things started, City of Lakeville had another great year in 2024. We experienced a lot of development activity with valuation of permits of over $257 million. So we just edged out 2023, as you can see from the list of the comparisons of 2022 down to 2020. This year so far, we've issued building permits in the value of over $53.5 million. So we're going strong already in our first quarter. And one of the things that we love is welcoming new businesses. We love to see the investment in non-residential. So that would be everything that would be commercial industrial. And we had over $75.1 million invested into those two areas last year. And some of the major projects to highlight, the largest building permit value was $32 million. That was RL Cold Storage. So this is a unique building. It's right behind Sweet Harvest Foods. You've probably noticed it if you drive along Cedar. So it's east of Cedar, south of County Road 70. It's a big white building. And its use is just warehousing, but for cold storage. So a lot of our grocery stores, our Walmart retailers, Target retailers need this essential storage. So that building had a groundbreaking ceremony last May. It's under construction, anticipated to open this year. And it's 276,480 square feet. Some of the other permits to highlight from last year would include Post Foods Pilot Plant. They purchased a building in our older part of the industrial park and remodeled it. Post has been expanding their operations and had added different dog food businesses. And so they created a new test pilot kitchen specifically for dog food. They've also remodeled and updated their corporate headquarters this past year. Some of the other permits, Midwest ENT Specialist broke ground last fall on their building. This is located up on Buck Hill Road and County Road 46, and that had a building permit valuation of over $5.2 million. This year, we're kicking off the year well. Metropolitan Airports Commission had a building permit valued at $590,000, and this is for upgrades to their existing maintenance facilities at Air Lake Airport. And residential continues to be strong. Lakeville is a very hot market, whether it's commercial or whether it's single family or townhomes or apartments, we continue to be strong. We ranked number 2 last year, just behind Woodbury, in total building permit numbers. We finished the year with 285 single family, 100 detached, 49 attached, and 89 multifamily units. And this is a cooperative project. It's the Astoria Lakeville that's on the Hosanna campus. This year, total residential valuation was $155.8 million. So that's 60% of that overall building permit valuation. Average building permit on a single family home is a little over $310,000, and our median home value is up to $451,150. So we keep edging up. Lakeville is back to number 1 as of our first quarter this year. We have 58 single family and 59 townhome permits issued so far. And this is one of my favorite slides that we update every year. It really shows, provides a nice reflection of all the new businesses that have chosen to make Lakeville their home. Whether it's a personal service business, one of our industrial park businesses, one of our office businesses, retail, or restaurants. They're all reflected here. And we are so excited to welcome all of these new businesses every year. We continued last year to see a lot of advancement and addition in medical office. Children's Medical's Minnesota Specialty Center expanded into a new tenant space. Alida Health and MNGI Digestive Health opened their new 3-story building last summer. Exuberance Chiropractic opened a new location and expanded their operations. And then that Midwest Ear, Nose, and Throat Specialist held their groundbreaking last fall, and that building is currently under construction. And Children's Dental Care is also expanding. So it's not only new medical that's being provided here to serve our community and beyond, but also expansion of our existing medical. So we're really pleased to see that. We're also adding new dining options. This is something Katie and I in the chamber hear all the time, and we have an incredible amount of dining and beverage types of business all across the city, and if you need to know more information, check out the Chamber's website. But we did welcome LBC at the Lake, at Antlers Park, new Donut Star, new Taco Bell, Kiev Cakes, which is a specialty bakery, and then Farmer's Grandson Eatery recently opened, and their speakeasy soft opening was held recently, and I think that is going to have a full opening at the end of this month, which will be an exciting addition to Lakeville. And then all of those businesses can be reflected here on this map to see where that activity is taking place across the city. Again, the red or purple or pink, however it shows up on that screen, is all of the active residential permits that have been issued. Whereas the green are also reflected in different types of residential, but those are final plats. So as we continue to review plans and approve plans, the council over the past year approved 731 new final plats. And that's very important. We need to continue having that churn of approved projects so that we have available lots for development. The yellow reflects all of the commercial development. This will be not only our new businesses that are building from ground up, or it could be reflection of remodels and additions. And then city permits. We've had a lot of activity at our fire stations as well as in our parks. And this year we are going to see some more new large projects. Lakeville 35 Logistics Center North Edition received final plat approval in February. And this is a new spec building. We haven't had a new spec building for a couple of years just due to the economy, but But spec buildings are really important when you have different industries that are needing, 30,000, 50,000 square feet of space or even less. We need to have this new spec development occur to be able to provide space for these businesses. This project is going to break ground probably this week. I think they're closing as we speak on the land. It's a 189,678 square foot space. It's just north of 215th Street and south of 210th Street. And then since July, the city has been engaged in discussions with Dakota Electric Association. They've been evaluating their space needs and have decided to really look towards expanding their facility and identified property in Lakeville for this expansion. And so since last summer, we've been working closely with Dakota Electric staff and their engineers on the various approvals that are needed for this expansion. And then, which not only deals with plating, but in the future, building permits. So just this past March, the City Council approved a preliminary plat for DEA addition, and this is going to include a new facility that's totaling 176,685 square feet, would occupy warehouse, storage, as well as office for their 200 employees. We will continue to work with them as they come to their final decision making on this project, but we are very, very excited to welcome them to Lakeville. And then another new retail project is Marketplace at Cedar. This is at the southeast corner of 179th and Cedar. Oppenheimer Investment received approvals this March for 9 commercial lots. Some of those do have letter of interest signed to them. So you can see some of the new business that will be coming, and then there's still some open space. But again, this is another great opportunity to expand retail opportunities across the city. And with all of that, employment continues to remain very strong in Lakeville. We employ 21,460 people as of third quarter 2024, and this is a 37% increase over the past decade. So all of you should be proud in terms of bringing your businesses, expanding your businesses here in Lakeville. And some of our top employers are listed on the slide, and this is employers with over 250 people. That includes Lakeville Public School District, Post Consumer Brands, Hy-Vee, Maker's Pride, which was formerly Hearthside Food Solutions, and City of Lakeville, just to name a few. Our unemployment remains low at 2.6% compared to the county at 3% and the state of Minnesota at 3.6%. So Katie and I get involved in a lot of special projects, and one of them was to update the strategic plan for economic development. We did this project last summer with our EDC, our Economic Development Commission. And this is a really important plan. It identifies several goals, strategies, actions, and success measures to guide our work for the next 4 years. The plan was adopted late last year by the City Council. And out of that, one of the first implementation projects that we've taken on is a brand new business retention and expansion program. We kicked this off in February. It is a partnership with Katie and I, along with Chamber staff and Economic Development Commissioners, and we visit businesses. So if you've not been contacted yet, you will be. Our goal is to visit all of our amazing businesses. We've selected the first Thursday of the month for this. We work in teams. We try to hit 4 businesses every month if we can. Again, we've just gotten started. But the goal is to strengthen relationships that we already have with you. And for new businesses that we haven't had that opportunity, we want to meet you, find out what your needs might be, what the city could maybe do to help you, or if there's outer forces and assistance that you need, bring those to you. So it's a great new program, and we're really excited to have kicked that off this year. We also completed our first full year of having implemented the residential rental registration program. The council adopted an ordinance in 2023 to require registration of all rental properties that are residential. So anywhere from single family all the way up to apartments. This is not the same thing as some cities do with licensing. It's just a database to understand where our rental properties are located and to have some basic information on ownership and management so that if there's an issue in the community, we have the ability to reach out to that person. This map shows the location of those. We update this. You can find this on our website. Currently, there are over 650 rental properties registered, and 61% of those are single-family homes. The registration process is free. It's very easy to do on the website. The only thing that we ask is that if the owner doesn't live in Minnesota, who is renting out that property, that we have a designated person who is in Minnesota tied to that property. And then cannabis licensing. We all know in 2023, the state legalized adult use cannabis in Minnesota. So a few things have happened over the past year regarding this. The state opened an Office of Cannabis Management. That office is responsible for licensing the businesses, but also creating the rules for how these businesses will operate across the state. It's been a fairly slow process, but it has sped up a little bit. And with that, each city needed to adopt our own requirements. And so the city did this last fall, not only within the zoning ordinance, but also in the city code as to how we want these businesses to operate. There are several different license types that are in the state statute. We've identified those license types and the various zoning districts that they'll be regulated within. And with that, we are required as the city to register the businesses that are retail. So there's 3 different license types that regulate the retail component, and a retail store is going to be limited to a distance of 500 feet from schools. So that is what the map demonstrates on this slide. We also, in the ordinance, regulate a limit of 6 retail businesses within the city limits. OCM did get approval for their rules just this week, and so I do anticipate getting some more requests and more information from businesses that are trying to locate in Lakeville, and some of those early licenses will be issued probably throughout this summer. One of the things we don't talk enough about is our amazing Air Lake Airport. The airport is conveniently located right in the industrial park, and it is an important asset to Lakeville. And this graphic really illustrates that point. Not only does the airport provide for recreational flights and flight training right on site, but aircraft storage, there's 106 hangars located there, and it's ideally located and suited for business aviation. The airport supports 104 jobs and saw 38,678 annual flight operations in 2024. Well, that caps off my part of the presentation, so I want to introduce Krista Jeck, our amazing chamber president.
I'm gonna bring that up there too. I don't want that. Just in case. Okay. Yeah, I can bring up my partner in crime here, Marilee Jager is going to come up, and she is our chair of the Foundation Board of Directors, so she's going to talk to you about something here in a second. So a couple things that I want to go over in terms of workforce development. So you guys have heard me talk about Lakeville Works a lot, and you'll see on the screens there are those people that you see on the sorry, I don't right? Yes, you can do that too. Those people are the people that allow us to make that work happen. They are the ones that buy us the time to work on all of these things that you hear me talk about all year. We are so thankful for them, and we are so grateful, and we would love to add more and more names to that. As much as we can will help us continue on this work and continue to elevate the work that we're talking about. So I'm going to talk to you about a few things that we're working on and that we've done. So when we were here at the state, not here, but when we were at the State of the City last year, we were talking about our grant from the United Way. So we had received a grant for $40,000 that allowed us to do some workforce development with students. So last summer, we had about 30 students go through a workforce development camp. They did some leadership development. They went on business tours from some of you here in the room. And we celebrated at the end. We had members from the city and from the schools come out and celebrate that with them. And then those that wanted to were able to go on and do some internships as well. And we were really excited to give those students an opportunity to really kind of meet and see some of you who they haven't met before, and to explore some careers that they didn't even know were out there. So this year, we have a new grant from the United Way, and this year, that grant is really designed to have us bring together a group of people, and it's a collaboration grant to really talk about what are some other priorities that we have in terms of workforce development and our education partnership. So we started to have those conversations with Michael and some folks at the schools, and so as we start to build out what that looks like this year, we'll be tapping some of you on the shoulder to say, hey, we want you, as one of the stakeholders, we want you to be a part of these conversations and help us discuss this. And it's really interesting because we'll be able to include teachers in this, we'll be able to include students, so there'll be all the voices at the table. So we're very excited about this particular grant. So stepping into the future, some of you again were involved in this when we did it. So this started small at Kenwood Trail Middle School for 2 years. We had 8th graders in the library and we did kind of some fun little activities. And then last year we got the entire 8th grade class, all 3 middle schools, came out to the airport, the beautiful airport that Tina was just talking about. And so you see the logos on the screen, several of you are in this room. And so we had 1,000 8th graders over the course of the day go through these immersive exploration experiences where they got to do some hands-on learning and got to explore different things that were related to classes in high school, clubs in high school, and then the careers they want. So that was really what we were saying is if you like this particular activity you're doing, consider these classes, consider these clubs, and then those could lead to these potential careers. So we were so excited to be able to do that. And kind of going backwards, when I talk about that grant, that's what we're looking to do then is to use that grant that we got to say, okay, then how can we take this into 9th grade and 10th grade and beyond? So thank you so much to everyone in the room who made this possible. It was a huge lift to get the kids out there to do it all. And so we're excited. And the plan is to do it again next year. We've already kind of talked about how we want to reconfigure it and make it go even smoother. So again, several of you will get tapped on the shoulder again. But it's such an amazing opportunity for our business community to give up your time and talent to really help get these students ready for you, get them to know you and understand what you do and help get them ready for your businesses. So this is an immediate one coming up. So this is just 2 weeks away. So we partner with the schools, and Kim Booty, I know you're here. Where are you, Kim? Kim, this is Kim's kind of brainchild that started this and said, hey, I'm going to have a job fair during the school day. So we have them at North and South on the same day. North is in the morning, South is in the afternoon, so a business can do both schools. And it's free to attend. So if you are hiring high school students, so now or in the summer, or you know someone who is, get a hold of me, get a hold of Kim, let us know, and you have a table in the gym, and then they release students throughout that time to then come and meet with you and learn about what we do. Pro tip, swag. Food, swag, anything like that is what you want them to come to your table, right? But this is really exciting, and it just, again, shows our partnership of really our school district being innovative and coming to us and saying, hey, we want to give kids an opportunity here. Will you work with us? And our answer is always yes. So this is kind of fun for Panaprog. So we had talked about this for several years at Panaprog, and it's going to come to fruition finally this year. So Panaprog, the big Friday, cruise night, we all know cruise night. Before cruise night, down Main Street, we are going to do a touch a truck event. So kind of your traditional touch a truck event where we're going to have big trucks and tractors and all kinds of cool vehicles out there for kids to play on. Which, side note, if any of you have access to big trucks and trailers and cool stuff, please talk to me because we need to fill it. But the cool thing with the city, you guys are going to find out about it. Chief knows about it. I've already cleared it. No, but the cool part about this with us is how Lakeville Works is going to tie into this, is then Lakeville Works is going to come alongside and say, well, did you know the person driving this truck makes a 6-figure income? Or the person fixing this truck might make a 6-figure income. Or the person driving this bus got to bring their kids to work with them, so they didn't have to worry about daycare. We're going to tie in some career exploration, some career things into that. And so they're getting a little bit of education while they're having fun climbing all over the trucks, and their parents are going to see that. So we're really excited about that. So more to come on that when we come out for that. So this, I'm gonna have my friend Marilee come here and talk a little bit about a very exciting new program Foundation has.
Thank you, Krista. Always surprises at these things. Trucks, they're gonna have trucks downtown. Started clear, it's good. Okay, so I have the pleasure and the honor to be your foundation chair this year. And a lot of the people that I work with are in this room, whether you're on the foundation with me or you are a donor towards scholarships that we work on to give back to our students here. In 2024, the Chamber Foundation awarded a total of $11,000 in scholarships, and already this year we have $21,000 in brand new named scholarships through this program. And it's work, we go out and ask, and it's work on your half because you have the profits that you've earned and you donated to us. That gets back to our schools, right to the students. Many of the named scholar donors are in this room today. So if you know who you are, pat yourself on the back. Know that the foundation pats you on the back, and we thank you kindly. We will do well with the money. We have 61 high school senior applications that we need to make decisions on by the end of May. So 61, early May, okay? And I've had a chance to take a sneak peek at some of these applications, and I want to tell you guys, we have some really talented high school students that walk among us in our community. They are accomplished, they have ambition, and we need to support them in the ways that we can so that they can hopefully come back someday and work for our businesses. Trust me, some of these are really gifted kids. And as a foundation, we'd like to help them and show them what we here in Lakeville can do and what we have to offer. You can participate in this program by seeing myself, see Krista. If you know one of the foundation members, you can talk with them and get involved, donate some money. You can get involved in an activity that's coming up pretty soon that Krista's going to talk to you about. And then what we'll do is we're going to sort through these applications, and we're going to do, like I said, we'll do right by the very high level items that you give us that you want your funds to go towards. We'll make sure they get into the right hands and that you're recognized for what you've done. And that's what we're going to do. We've done it, but now we've got more of it to do because, as you can see, we've over doubled the money from last year raising for scholarships. And as Krista has mentioned, wouldn't it be great if we could give every single one of those applicants a scholarship and get them started so they can get that education that they need to come back and work in our businesses? If you can't participate this year, please keep us in mind for 2026. Thanks again, everybody.
Thanks, Marley. Yeah, and this is great, you guys, because we make it so easy on you. You give us the money, and 100% of that money gets passed through to the student, and we will take care of. Obviously, we take care of getting the applicants. We take care of sorting through the applicants. We will pay the school on your behalf. You will get the promotion, and you will get the recognition for being that scholarship. So thank you so much to people that have already done it. There is another way that you can help us raise money. So as Marilee said, $11,000. So where did that $11,000 last year came from? The majority of it came from this beautiful event that you see on my screen. And for those that are not familiar with Suds for Scholars, many of you are, it is a very fun event that we have coming up in a couple weeks. And it is at the Holiday Inn, and it's a beer tasting event. $35 gets you a ticket, and you'll be able to sample different beers and wines from craft brewers and wineries in the state. It's unlimited tasting once you're in there and you have your ticket. Plus, we have some great appetizers and things in there. 100% of the single ticket price goes back to our scholarships. So we're very fortunate to have some generous sponsors that make that possible. So we need to sell a lot of tickets yet. We have got quite a few, and it is an intimate event. It's about 250 people, but we still have a lot of tickets left. You guys have flyers on your table. Actually, you have both flyers on your table. You have flyers on that named scholarship program Marilee talked to you about. Feel free to take it. You also have flyers on your table. If you will take one of these with you, post it in your break rooms, post it on your social media. We want to sell because every single dollar that we sell goes back into scholarships. And as Marilee said, our foundation will meet the first Friday in May, and the money that we make from this will directly go to those students this May. So we need to get those ticket sales up there and do that. So if I can just make a huge plug for Suds for Scholars, and it's a great event. I mean, it's a great way to spend a couple hours. Several of you have done it and know it's a great time. So a couple more things before we bring the mayor up. So this obviously is something that we get asked a lot when it comes to not only the chamber, but Lakeville Works. And how as a business do I get engaged? There's so many different ways to get engaged. A very simple way is speak in classrooms. We have a lot of requests to speak in our classrooms. And so if you are someone who's like, I love what I do, I'm going to talk about what I do, or my company, or I have someone at my company who I think would be great to speak, get a hold of us at the chamber. Contact me, contact Kim, and we'd love to get you in our rotation of the speakers at our various schools that work on that. Obviously sponsoring an event. We have, as I mentioned here, we've got donors who sponsor our entire Lakeville work scope of work, but there are other ways that you can have your name and your brand on other events that we do throughout the year that are targeted to parents or students or teachers. And so again, you're helping us with those events, but you're also getting in front of those audiences that might be important to you as well. So again, talk to me about that, and I can tell you about those opportunities. Hosting a class tour. Again, we do a lot of different things. I told you about the what we did last summer with the students. We've got Treats, Trades, and Tours is our middle school after school camp that we do. For Strive, we're starting to look at, can we do some more tours through our Rotary? So if you are someone that would be interested in hosting a tour, talk to us. And when I say host a tour, I mean an interactive, something that would be fun for students to come out and really talk about your company and the careers in your company and underneath that roof, right? You're saying, here's what we do here, here are the different jobs, here's why we love them, here's what we get excited about. We really want to get our students excited. And really want them, as Marilee said, we want them to come back into Lakeville. And I joked about this in a meeting this morning for the Dakota Scott Workforce Board. I said, Maggie and I said, no offense guys, but we want all that talent to stay in Lakeville, right? Because it is, we don't have the talent pool that we once had. The people just aren't here, they're not born, right? So we want to keep as many of them here in Lakeville and have top talent in this community as we can. So the more we can get them integrated in what we do. And then job shadows. So Lakeville seniors are required to do a job shadow before they graduate, and more we are getting students reaching out to the chamber and wanting to make those connections to do a meaningful job shadow, and not just job shadow where their parents work or their neighbor works or what have you. So again, if you're willing to host a job shadow for a day for a student, contact us. It is super easy these days now to figure out how to do a job shadow. Matt will attest to this. You just throw it into ChatGPT and you ask it, give me an 8-hour job shadow for a student in this, and it will spit it out. You don't even have to do any work, right? And you can host a student. So again, talk to us if those are things that you have an interest in. Internships is another one. We have a lot of college students starting to contact us because they're needing their college internship. And so a lot of you have seen emails from me, hey, who's hiring in marketing? Hey, who's hiring in this? We've got somebody. So we want to keep that going, keep our Lakeville students getting experiences here in Lakeville. And then last thing before I bring the mayor up is plug for Leadership Lakeville. We have several of our Leadership Lakeville class in the room here today. And we are just finishing up. I can't believe it's already here. We're finishing up our first cohort back after a many-year hiatus. And we will be opening up applications here coming up in late May or early June, and then the deadline will be June 30th. Huge shout out, first of all, not only to the city of Lakeville, to Lakeville area schools, to the county for letting us come in, be in your buildings, talk to your staff. We could not do this without you, but to Tina and Katie, these two sit on the planning committee with the chamber staff and help us literally build out the entire program and help us schedule everything. And it's so important. And this is that workforce piece for you all and for your employees, right? Where we do so much of workforce development with our high school students and our middle school students, but this is our opportunity to really invest in your workforce and make sure that they are proud of the community that they work in and want to learn more and want to be a part of this and want to stay here for a long time, and certainly then want to stay with the company who invested in them to get that development. Each of our sessions includes professional development, that information about the city or the county, and then obviously networking connections. So be watching for that. We're really proud of this program, and we can't wait to get the second cohort going. So lots of good things happening in the workforce development area. If that is something that you are passionate about, you want to learn more, please contact us. We've got lots of ways that you can engage and be a part of this work, and it's really exciting stuff. So, all right. It's now my turn to introduce the mayor. So Mayor Hellier has been on city council since 2016 and mayor since 2022. In his day jobs, are you talking about your day job? I don't know. Oh, so his day job, he has a new day job, the Director of Government Affairs at Starkey Hearing. And he and his wife Josie both grew up here and are now raising their kids here. Thank you very much for that. He is on our foundation board of directors as well. And something I learned about you, Do you remember what you said your goal is for 5 to 10 years back in 2023?
Oh,
You don't? Well, it's in the internet, so it must be true.
Okay, yeah.
You said you want to be the Panama Grand Marshal.
Yeah, I do.
So we'll see. I mean, I might be able to help make that happen. We'll see what happens. But so, without further ado, I'm gonna
Thank
get
you.
this up for you. Okay, right?
Actually,
Yeah.
I think what I said was it's easier to become mayor than Grand Marshal of Painter Park.
It is. Yeah, it is a district.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a selective group. Well, thank you, Krista, and thanks to everybody for being here today. A lot of friendly faces. I want to start with this, with a little bit of breaking news. This morning, I called Council Member Ethan Hellier in Prior Lake to let him know I signed an executive order for round of tariffs on the city of Prior Lake. Frankly, they've been extremely unfair to the city of Lakeville, and it's time for them to come through. And Mayor Costick in Credit River said he will set up a checkpoint at the Credit River Lakeville border, so they'll be paying tolls to get on 35W and those who live in Prior Lake. So we are working for you every day to make sure that we're treated fairly. Thank you. As George kind of talked about, the Chart House has a ton of history. I think the population of Lakeville in 1963 was less than 1,000. Mary Liz might know that. She's not a historian, but I don't know. But you usually see her growth. Sits on Kingsley Lake, as you know, and so half of this is there's some people who live here. There's this, and then there's Camp Streetfront with the YMCA on the other side. And at one point, Christina Housen was going to give that land to the city of Lakeville. I don't know if we didn't pick up the phone or what happened, but that's how she ended up giving the land for what's now Camp Streetfront. Streetfront was her maiden name, and they own all that land, and that's how they came. So I love Lakeville history, so if you have Lakeville history stories for me, feel free to share those with me as well. I just want to spend also a moment recognizing my parents came today, so it took 3 State of the Cities for them to finally come, so thank you for being here. We celebrated their 50th anniversary in this room in December, so that was exciting for us. This was a great place. And then I also want to recognize my wife, Josie, who came today as well. Thank you, Lonnie. I appreciate you being here. When she was growing up, as George said, this used to be a private club. You could swim kind of where the patio is now. And my wife had talked about having that experience. And when we got engaged, she said, it's been my dream my entire life to have our wedding reception at the Chart House. It wasn't in the budget, but hopefully today's lunch will replace it. With 250 of our closest friends who are today. So thank you, honey. So hopefully that works out. Lastly, just want to really thank Tina and Katie for putting this together. Police Chief Brad Paulson and Fire Chief Meyer and our engineer Zach Johnson, who basically put all the text in here. I'm just reading their words, but I want to thank them for doing that as well. So they work above and beyond. As you know, Antlers Park opened last summer, which was closed for an entire year, and it has been really a huge success for us. And I talked about this last year before it opened, how excited we were between the new shelters, the indoor pavilion, sand volleyball courts, and then one other unique feature, when it being one of the first beach areas in the region that's ADA accessible. So we have rubber mats that are there at all times. So if you have someone in a wheelchair, they can actually get all the way to the water on our beach. And so it's kind of a new feature that we were pretty proud of that other communities don't have. And as Tina mentioned, LBC on the Lake was a big hit. I think I talked to Don, I think they're opening up in a couple of weeks, so that'll be, so looking forward to that. And then finally, the thing that just blows my mind is that we had 320 outdoor events last summer that had reservations through the Parks Department, and another 87 in the indoor facility. We had 2 weddings last year, so if you're thinking about a great place for an event, think about Antlers. If you weren't, had not attended before in the city, that's where we had last year. Grand Prairie Park construction is well underway, so this is at Cedar 185th Street. Grand Prairie Park will be the city's largest community park when it's finished. Much of what's happening there will not happen until next year. We got to plant some things, but you'll see the lights of the new baseball park have gone up. A lot of the other infrastructure that has gone there. And this has really been a great effort from a lot of different community events, community groups. We've had several sponsors to support Lakeville Baseball Association, some of the added amenities to their baseball park. The Lions have been very generous in funding the splash pad that's there. So So a lot of that will open up. We have to let the grass grow, but and as I mentioned before, we have pickleball courts. There's a cricket pitch, among other things, so that is well on its way. We're very excited for Grand Prairie Park. I will say one other thing, just baseball related, very quickly. So next Wednesday, North and South play each other at Target Field after the Twins game, if you didn't know that. So if you talk to Tricia from High Point, raise your hand. The tickets are $20, and you get to go to the Twins game. They play the Mets at noon, and then right after that game, the North and South get to play. And if you are thinking about sponsorships, they have different sponsor levels for businesses as well. So I'm sure that if you want to talk to her about if your business is interested in supporting it. So it's a very cool thing that supports the North and South boosters. Last year we also finished all the upgrades to the Foxborough Park, which brought in some new biking and walking trails and then upgraded the playground equipment there as well. In addition, there's some replacements at the Kenmore Park, included swings, climbing element slide, and other elements. And then the Chadwick Farms Greenway, which added another 30,000 feet of trail. And if you remember back from 2021, this is part of that Parks Bond referendum. All these are kind of projects that were in that, in Grand Prairie Park, and then East Lake Park, or East Community Park at East Lake. We're just finishing up kind of the master plan for that. The Parks and Rec Natural Resources Committee is looking at it along with our staff. And the idea, I think, is to break ground next year, on those additions. So we look forward to that. Oh, you can see it's right there on the site. Construction for 2026. As I mentioned earlier, public safety has been a top priority for me since being on city council mayor, and has been for the rest of our city council. And one of the things that we actually just got to break ground for was the first center, which is the First Responder Skills Training Center, where we are demoing the former Public Works building and building a state-of-the-art training facility for police, fire, and other public safety officials. This is a project led by the city of Lakeville. We got some decent funding from the legislature a few years ago. Representative Whitty, Kosick, and Senator Duckworth helped secure some $7 million for us on that. Congressman Craig secured another $800,000 for the engineering and design of that project. But the total project is well over 18 or 19 million. And but at the end of the day, we see ourselves as a regional hub, Lakeville is, and so we'll have a lot of partners. We have over a dozen other agencies that have expressed interest in using this facility. I talked about this before, we've had some really good conversations with ACTC about potentially doing some of their field training there, or Hooper Hills, I should say. They're combined it into one, so it's called ACTC. But really, because as those in law enforcement will say, crime knows no borders, and the more that we can work together among jurisdictions and training and all these things, that's really important. So we look forward to that opening up this next year. One of the things, just as an update, we are now up to 73 sworn officers in the city, and we're supported by another 20 staff members in support roles. And this obviously has grown over the last several years as our population continues to grow. Another cool project that the police department has kind of spearheaded is, last year we had one and this year we have two. We secured grant money to basically help people do career changes, to leave what they're doing to get into policing. As you can imagine, hiring for law enforcement can be difficult. More often than not, when we swear new officers in the city of Lakeville, they came from somewhere else. They came from another department. And part of that is, again, if we're thinking regionally to be supportive, we have to kind of groom some of our own. So we've got some state money. They get paid a salary to go through the certification and schooling. So again, I think we had one last year, two this year, and I think the plan is to continue to do that as long as we can make sure that grant keeps going. So very excited about that. Another big change for the police department, our K9 Kilo retired, and his handler, Sergeant Danielson, was promoted. So we've got a new pup that's going to be on the road soon, and that is Nora, and she has Officer Jolene Worden, and so they're going to be on the road soon, I would guess.
Yeah, he's just started training, so a couple months.
Okay, so it's just training and then be out in a couple months. So we were thanks to Kilo for all of his years of service, and I think he's probably very happy on Tom's farm down outside of Austin. So he's doing very well in his retirement already. And then one of the other things that the department has really invested in is thinking more broadly about what policing means, besides just responding to emergencies. And that is, invested in some of these kind of social support services. We have a liaison now that is a continued relationship with support with the county and 360 communities. Sorry, my dad's not leaving because he's mad. He drives school bus for Schmidt, so he's got his afternoon route. Don't worry, Mike, he'll be there on time. It's a great retirement job, by the way. If you looking for something to do, being a bus driver, like my dad, he drives my kids' route, so he gets to pick them up early in the school.
Like it was awesome.
And then if you think about, in addition to the police department, obviously the fire department is going through some pretty significant changes. For years, we were strictly a pay-on-call volunteer department, and the council decided a few years ago to rethink that and add some full-time staff in what we call a hybrid model. We hired a few firefighters a couple of years ago, I think 6. We were actually given money through FEMA to hire some more, so we will end up having up to 21 full-time firefighters. But as you can imagine, with that kind of growth and change, it's going to require us to make some pretty big capital investments. That's why we talked about franchise fees last year, about building a new fire station. And that is when you go from a situation where you have all volunteers to people that are going to be sleeping and needing living quarters, you get to that point. So we're hopefully that in the next few months we'll have kind of a location cited where we're thinking about for that new fire station, and we'll kind of go through that process. But the goal, I think, is to get the ball rolling in this year so that we can open it up again next year. As I mentioned, that way we'll have 2 engines staffed 24/7 with full-time firefighters supported by probably another 50 or so volunteers. So the volunteer component is not going away. So if you're ever thinking about serving in the city, forget about being a volunteer firefighter. So they will work together alongside each other, which is really going to be a great model for us. Obviously, transportation improvements and changes are a big deal to all of you in the room, for businesses, and just for us to be able to get to work and get home. The 35 and 50 changes, we've kind of come up with a pretty decent schematic of what we think it'll look like. Now we just got to find the money. So we have been continuing to work with our state and county and federal partners to think through that. There has been substantial investment from all those levels, but we don't have the kind of the final pieces to make all that happen. And we actually, there's a hearing tomorrow in the House Bonding Committee about further investment from the state. But as you can imagine, you think about the area in front of Fleet Farm, what kind of disaster that is every day. And then you think about County Road 50 that runs underneath 35 and all the backups and problems there. So ultimately, we think this is a pretty good change. I will tell you, the 2-year project of closing one leg at a time on 35 is going to be awful. So think about those telework things for your companies, because it's going to be really terrible going through that corridor once it starts. But there are plenty of updates online through the city's website, so you can kind of keep in touch with that. Ideally, we'd really like to focus on starting something at 28, 29. We'll see kind of how that works. But again, this is a project that is sorely needed for the entire region. Another big project that you'll start to see is the 185th Street expansion. Again, this is a partnership with the county. If you think about 185th, once you get to 50 at that roundabout, you got a pretty narrow road until you get to Century, and then it kind of opens up again. So that corridor there will be widened to 4 lanes. To be able to really handle a lot of the capacity that we're seeing and all the growth that we've had. It's just funny to think about. That was when I was in high school, that was a 4-way stop, and then it was a stoplight, and then it was a roundabout. So there's been a ton of change and growth in that area. So that project will start very soon. I think some of the infrastructure and utilities are starting, but you'll see some of the road stuff happening there very soon as well. And I think that there's also some safe route to school funds, which is good, so it'll make it easier for kids to get over to Century, and those who are walking as well. So April to October. Last couple of things. So obviously the city, every year we have legislative priorities that are a keen focus for us at the Capitol. One of those that we talked to our legislators about this year is downtown social districts. So if you haven't followed, there's Anoka and Shakopee. are allowed to have basically open containers, is the easiest way to describe it, in their downtown areas. They were done as kind of a pilot. And so we had kicked around the idea from our council to have that same ability on certain kind of days of the year to have that similar thing. But unfortunately, it's run into some local politics. The rep from Shakopee likes his monopoly of being the only city in the region to allow it. So we're getting caught up in that, unfortunately, but we'll try again next year. So we'll see kind of how that goes. Obviously, I've talked about this at each one of my state of the city addresses, but mandates on local authority and our local control are always something that we think about. And I'll just highlight one that has been on my radar, and that has to do with zoning and housing and how we're able to grow. If you don't know, last month we had a pretty exciting work session when we had some conversations about the property along Antlers Park called Warwick, which is there was conversation about a 4-story apartment. I think the neighbors weren't super happy about it. I don't think that's going to really happen right now, but it was very exciting. The legislature, the bill that they've drafted would, without public input, without the city input, would allow a 7-story apartment building on that property. So when I say that this local stuff matters, and you find us pushing back on 4 stories, you can imagine what would happen if they said, yeah, you could put 7-story apartment building right there in between Lakeville North and Antlers Park. And then lastly, we continue to beat the drum on the post office. I don't know what to say about it. I mean, I think everybody in this room is pretty frustrated. I'm frustrated. At some point, Congressman Craig and I were talking about staging a walkout from the people who work there just because it's such an awful condition. They don't even have a loading dock. I mean, think about when that post office opened to how packages come through Amazon today. They can't even do their jobs effectively, let alone do that. And for those of you who have P.O. boxes downtown, they also basically just thumbed us off because you're now going to charge you for your P.O. box if you didn't know that. So if you had a P.O. box downtown, if you're a downtown business, the post office decided to take that away. So you either have to pay for it now, or apparently they didn't do any calculation that they'd have to do delivery. So if you don't pay for your P.O. box, then they have to bring it to your house, but then they don't have to drive it to your house. So I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work, but I continue to be frustrated by the post office. I'm sure you are as well. I wish I had some answers for you in that. We really don't. The Postmaster General at the federal level resigned last week. So hopefully that is an opportunity to potentially do that. But at the end of the day, it's really the regional managers that are paying the ask. I mean, the guy in Washington doesn't know. So I said to say we continue to work on that, and I appreciate any feedback that you guys have about those situations. But I wanted to be brief so we can get out of here in time, but happy to open up for any questions. If I don't have the answer, we got plenty of city staff here that could do that as well. But
do you have an email or a phone number we could just throw on?
Yes, you can. So thank you, Beth.
You're welcome.
So my email and cell phone number on the city's website. And then I also have a little...
I'm on the post.
Oh, the post? Oh, I'll get that.
I want that to go.
Yes. Okay, yes. I will get that for you.
Especially downtown Boston.
Yes, thank you. But then, so the other thing on your tables, I have a little flyer. I have a newsletter that comes out every Friday, just kind of updating things that are happening in the city. Feel free to sign up for it. And then I also if you have a community event, for instance, I like to feature those. I can't find everyone. I try to find a lot, but I miss a lot, so I apologize if I haven't put your event in there. In fact, I just got an email. There's an Easter egg hunt at Lakeville South on Saturday, so that'll probably be the top, most exciting thing in the newsletter this week. So I'm telling you before the newsletter comes out.
Does anybody have a question to say?
Yeah, everybody can shot. No?
Oh, Rick, here's
Any updates on the United Christian Academy?
The question was any updates on the UCA United Christian Academy project? Not that I know. There's been some conversation about them partnering with a local church to rethink about it. I do know that the last conversation was thinking more about just high school and not K-12. They've had a lot of success at their school building in Bloomington with the younger grades. Then their big missing piece is having the right high school. So I think it's a refocus on the high school and not necessarily K-12. So that's the best news I got for it. Bob?
Thank you. You got a account search there, but it was good enough to subscribe to that. Leadership guidance, attitude, kind of use the microphone, Bob.
I just wanted to thank the Lakeville City Council, city administrator, staff, for their extraordinary contributions. I leadership and want to know some of those great symbols. I also would ask again, as a city council, to be more consideration of the building, the new post office, leasing it back for the U.S. stimulus.
Yeah, we have had conversations about what that would look like. In fact, at one point, the mayor of Farmington and I had a conversation about what a joint post office would look like. We wrote a letter with Congressman Craig to the Postmaster General. He said thanks, but no thanks. You know, they are, other than the railroads, they are one of the most difficult entities to deal with because they're quasi-federal, so they have some congressional oversight, but not really. So no, I'm sorry, I don't have a great answer for it. We tried. We just had one here. All right, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks a lot to Mayor Hellier and Tina Goodroad for and the entire city staff for putting together that presentation. I want to thank you for your leadership and dedication to making Lakeville one of the top destinations for businesses to do business and people to live and to thrive. In addition, we want to thank you for your continued partnership with the Chamber of Commerce. We value this relationship and your support for our work and for local businesses that are represented all around this room. I want to thank again George and Brianna's Chart House. The food was amazing. I cleaned my plate. My grandfather, who grew up in the Depression, would be proud. We also want to thank our sponsors, ProTech Automotive, and Stonebrook Wealth Management, and now Exit Planning. And of course, all of you for spending this time with us today. I just have a few things to point out. The back of this card on your table is something that you can take with you and kind of check the box and see what's coming up. We have a lot of events, the Lakeville Chamber, and we don't want you to miss out on any of those, so take that with you and put those things on your calendar. I also wanted to just give a plug to next week, next Thursday, Lakeview Bank, one of the sponsors listed right on that poster, is hosting its annual Lakeview Bank Legacy Award after hours. So this is the big one. It's the chambers of Apple Valley, Burnsville, and Lakeville all supporting this event, and it honors 4 individuals for their contributions to our community and south of the river here. And it's at the bank from 4:30 to 6:30. It includes food and beverages, and it is free to attend. The Community Volunteer of the Year is Paul Jacobus of the Lakeville Lions and Panaprog. These are both organizations that are members of the Chamber, and we're excited to honor him. So we hope you can join us. So without further ado, thank you for coming and enjoy the afternoon.